Hello my lovely dears, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing okay, got exams and 4 weeks left of school, but enough about school. That's probably not why you're watching my video. So the topic for this week is going to be movies. I have two of my favorite movies, and by favorites it's usually movies I've seen more than 3 times, or even once. I have to really like a movie to watch it more than once, unless I'm forced, which also happens. And then I'm also going to talk about my criteria for what movies I usually go see and what kind of makes a favorite movie for me. So I'm going to do that first, and then go into the 2 movies I think are my favorites, and hopefully you guys know of them. If not, I'm going to give a brief summary of what they're about. So my criteria is usually a action, so like fighting, some violence, hopefully not too grotesque amount of blood, but some blood is nice, some realage of fighting. And then I like fantasy, which makes sense of why I like Teen Wolf and Supernatural, because it has fighting and fantasy, along with some other things. Some comedy thrown in there is nice. I will occasionally watch romance comedies, but they're not really my thing. Probably mostly just because I'm not really into the girly love stuff. And just plain comedy is not usually my thing either. Like boy humor, I don't know. I don't really get it. It's just not my thing. As for other genres, scaries. I'm trying to watch more scary movies, but I think in my lifetime I've actually only seen 5, and I'm 20, by the way, so it's kind of a long time to not see any scary movies. And one of the scary movies I've seen I don't even consider scary, and another one people don't consider scary as the first scary movie I saw. Well, I'll just leave that for I'll leave that for a different video to talk about, because I'm sure you're all interested about that one. Let's see, other genre. Historical is nice. I don't really like biographies that much, or documentaries that much, but depending on the topic, they're not too bad. So yeah, fantasy and action with some comedy is like my favorite movie. Musicals. I guess that's a genre. I will watch those, as long as they're not like complete rom-coms. Like Les Mis. Les Mis is a really good musical. Really sad, but really good. Okay, I'm just gonna go into my 2 favorite movies now, because I've run out of criteria. Besides, being action, fantasy, and having a good plot and good characters. And that's all opinion based on me. So one of my favorite movies I've had as a child, it's not made by Disney. Ooh, it's dark, sorry. But I don't even remember what company it's produced by. But I'm hoping you guys have heard of it. It's Quest for Camelot, and it's a cartoon movie. Oh, animated movie, that's good criteria, but I don't need it. But those are good. Sorry, sidetracked. But yeah, Quest for Camelot, it's an animated movie. And I'm hoping you guys have at least heard of it. Anyways, it's got music in it. They're singing. And it's got humor and romance and action. Mostly music and romance, in my opinion. It was my little, not dirty secret. I'm blanking on that word, but it was like my little thing I enjoyed, that I didn't really tell anyone. And, but anyways, it's about this, girl named Kaylee. I think she was like 15, 16, but I don't think her age was ever stated. Anyways, she works on a farm with her mom and her other family or neighbors, and her dad used to be one of the Knights of the Round Table for King Arthur. Well, he died. Not a big of a spoiler. He dies within like the first 5 minutes of the movie. And her dad used to tell her stories, so she always wanted to be a knight, but she was kind of stuck at a farm. And so there are these bandits, bad guys that want the land, and the main bad guy used to be a part of the Round Table until he tried to kill Arthur and take over and got banished. And so they come and take Kaylee's mom along with a chicken that they turn with magic, yeah, fantasy, into a talking chicken axe thing. And they take her mom and they're going to use her as since her husband used to be friends with King Arthur, as a way to get into Camelot. So they take her. Kaylee escapes and ends up in the forest before they can get her, although he does send people after her, which comes into play later. So she ends up in this magical forest, and within it she meets this blind man named Garrett. And if you can't tell, they end up having a thing. Anyway, so he's blind because he used to work in Camelot, tried to save some horses during a fire, and the horses hit him in the face, and he went blind. And so he's really pro at fighting because of a silver falcon and a stick. A walking stick. And so she tries to be all, like, tough and prove that she can take care of herself, and she sort of can, but can't, because Garrett keeps having to save her. So he ends up having to save her, and they sort of get a thing going on. And later in the movie, along the way, they meet one of the other main cast, which is a two-headed dragon that are brothers, and they're stuck together. They're where a lot of the comedy comes in. So anyways, all three of them, it ends the part when they get out of the forest. Garrett decides to stay and not go with Kaylee to help her save her mom. So Kaylee leaves, and then she gets captured, and then they have to go save her. And then they end up going to Camelot and saving King Arthur. And then they get married. Hooray! Spoiled everything. I'm pretty sure if you've either seen it, or if you haven't, it's a very kind of general storyline with some songs and some interesting stuff that doesn't usually happen in, like, Disney movies, I guess. So that was my favorite one. I still really like it, but I haven't watched it in a while, mostly because I watched it so much when I was younger. My favorite now, it used to be Avengers, and then it used to be, or after that it used to be How to Train Your Dragon movie, and then Rise of the Guardians, because I watched those a lot, at least 5. But I have passed that record, because this past 2 weeks, combined with when it first came out, I have watched The Hobbit 10 times. Which, I'm making the expression like that's terrible, because I should be doing other things. But I've actually watched The Hobbit 10 times total. And I'm probably going to watch it more before the second part comes out in December. And so I want to say why I like it. I'm assuming, I don't know if I have to go through the plot of it. Oh, well, I'll just do it anyways. Plot. Hobbit, which is kind of like a short man with furry feet. This is really sad if no one knows what a hobbit is. Doesn't really like adventure. Kind of just becomes a hermit in his house, and he meets a wizard Gandalf that he used to know when he was little, that he tried to convince to go on an adventure, and to his surprise or not surprise, Bilbo the Hobbit had changed and didn't want adventure, and so he kind of forced him into one by putting a sign on his door that made 13 dwarves pillage and eat everything in his house and kind of destroy things. And then they sang a beautiful song at night after Bilbo passed out and after he found the dangers of the journey. He didn't really want to go. But when they left that morning, it was too quiet. And so he changed his mind and decided he wanted to go on the adventure. And off to the adventure they went. And then, skipping to some things, they met trolls that tried to eat them. And Bilbo delayed time until Gandalf saved them. And then they met orcs that attacked them into going into, or forced them into going to an elf city. And then they sneaked out of the elf city while Gandalf was talking with the main council. Oh, by the way, all the dwarves are trying to get back into Erebor to to kill a dragon, but also, I guess, to get the Arkenstone back from it, which is like kind of mesmerizing stone that just gives off bad vibes all around. By the way, I haven't read the books, so yeah. No spoilers for me, please. What else? Yeah, so they sneak out to go to Erebor, even though the elves don't want them to. Elves and dwarves don't get along well. And then they land into a rock giant fight. And then Bilbo tries to leave because Thorin, the head of the dwarves, is just, "You don't belong here! Go home!" kind of a thing. And so he starts to head home when a hole in the ground falls and they land into goblin territory. So all the dwarves get taken to the head goblin, who after a while recognizes Thorin and calls for the orcs that have the pale orc, that has a grudge against Thorin, who also has a grudge against the pale orc, but well, Bilbo was able to sneak away. Oh, and they want Bilbo because Gandalf hired him, and he's like their burglar because he's small and quick, which is why he's able to hide away in the goblins, and he ends up fighting a goblin, falls down a trench, goblin gets eaten by Gollum. I was going to call him Dobby for a second, that's horrible, I'm sorry. Harry Potter now. By Gollum, and then Bilbo has to, he finds Gollum's ring as well, which is what Lord of the Rings is about, and, sorry, my nose, sorry, that's really gross, and, they give each other riddles to solve, and it ends up with Bilbo saying, "What's in my pocket?" which is the ring, which Gollum doesn't know he lost. And so Bilbo escapes with it. He heads outside where all the other dwarves are because they got saved by Gandalf. And then the pale orc finds them. They fight, burning trees, death, almost falling off trees, Thorin almost getting killed, Bilbo being brave, and then Gandalf saves them all with eagles. And the movie ends with them on a cliff and seeing birds head towards Erebor, and then with Smaug, the dragon, inside Erebor, just hanging out, being his cool self, as a sort of segue into the next movie. So that's the plot. That took longer than I thought it would. So the reason why I like that, and I don't want to say I didn't like Lord of the Rings, because I did, but the reason why I like The Hobbit more is because it's been a few years, so they've had more of a chance to work in more better graphics and they just had a chance to improve compared to the 3 Lord of the Ring movies. I also want to say I like it because, not to give, I want to see, oh, cat. Oh, no, oh, you couldn't even see the cat, I'm sorry, you just saw trees. Sorry. Not to have any offense against Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin and Legolas and Gimli and all the other characters, and Aragorn and Gandalf back then. But, sorry. But I find the dwarves and Bilbo a lot more personality, probably because the way the movie played out, it sort of started out with learning more about the characters with some action a little in, but just some more of the characters more before all the action came in and the fighting. While Lord of the Rings, it was less about character development and more about the plot. So I like the characters a lot more. I also might like it because I really like Martin Freeman, so I'm sort of biased. But I don't want to say that's the only reason why I liked it, because it's not. But, it's just, I probably also like it because I've watched Lord of the Rings a couple of times, so I know the background story to Bilbo, at least, and to some of the dwarves, and it's like before the ring, so it's just, I know more going into it than I did when I watched Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I gave as many reasons why I like that, but yeah, that's action. It's fantasy, and it's got some comedy in it, so those are my three criterias. You can't even see my fingers. 3 criterias of why I like it, along with the characters and the plot. So looking forward to December. If you guys haven't watched The Hobbit, you have, and if you haven't, you should. It's been a year, almost. And you guys should check out Quest for Camelot if you like Disney movies, because it's sort of got the same vibe. Those are my 2 favorite movies. I don't know what I'll talk about next week. It'll be a surprise. I hope you guys have a great weekend, or have a great next week. I love you guys, and have a great night, or morning, whatever time it is there. Alright, love you guys. Bye.